Hello friends, and welcome back to the Mothership. Today we are making up some pulled pork and then making our very own barbecue spring rolls. Let's get started. Now the first thing we need to do is get some pulled pork going. This is a tiny little pork butt that I have for some reason in my freezer, and I'm tired of looking at it, so I'm going to use this. Obviously use whatever size you want. I usually cook bigger ones because it's a little bit of effort, and why not cook a bunch and then freeze it. But I have this little 2.5 pounder. Mine's obviously boneless. You can do bone in, it'll just take longer. And I'm just gonna do the standard, cut off anything too funky. There's a little bit of fat on there. Everything looks kind of fine. Maybe take a little bit off right now. But in general, I don't really trim too heavily on my pork butts because everything's gonna get shredded up anyway. Just anything that probably won't render out right. And the fat cap on here is pretty thin, so it's not going to be a huge amount of fat that I got to take off at the very end. So all of this should be fine. Now, just like all of my cuts of meat, I am going to salt first, put it in the fridge, let it absorb, and then do my dry rub. So I got about 3 pounds, which means a ½ teaspoon per pound. And I'm just going to coat the sucker on the outside. As always, kosher salt, guys, if you're following my methods here. If you're using table salt, you're going to have way too much salt. Perfect. I'm going to throw this in the fridge, wait for it to absorb, and then we will get a dry rub going. With the salt fully absorbed, I'm just going to give it a quick coating with mustard. And then coat the whole thing in my coffee rub. Perfect. Now this could go directly onto the smoker at this point, or you can let it rest. I'm not ready to cook this, so I'm going to let it rest, and I usually let everything sit for a bit anyways, just to let everything kind of get back together. So this is going to go back in my fridge until I'm ready to throw it onto the smoker. Smoker's up to temp at 180 degrees, and I put a pork butt on the top rack. I'm going to run this like I do all my pork butts. I'm just going to run it at 180 for a couple hours, get a bunch of smoke on there. Then I'm going to bump the temp up to 225. Spritz it if it starts to look really dry, and then wrap it once it stalls, and take that to 250. You know, standard pork butt. If this is your first time smoking a pork butt, I have a full beginner video that goes in depth on how to do it, and I will have it in a card somewhere up above here. But yeah, let it do its thing, come back in a couple hours, and then we'll bump the temperature up. About 2 hours and 45 minutes in, and I just bumped our temp up to about 225. Starting to look a little dry, so I'm going to give it some spritzing. Whenever it needs it, really. I'm using apple cider like always. And I'm just going to keep doing this till we reach the stall somewhere around 155, 160. And then we'll wrap it and push this thing to the finish line. I just wrapped the pork shoulder and bumped the temperature up. So I think it's time for me to take care of our veggies. So what I want to do is I want to take the carrots, cut them into maybe, I don't know, 3-inch sections. And then I want to get them pretty thin, almost down to matchstick level, which is going to be a huge pain, but I think it'll be worth it. So I think like this kind of is what I'm looking for. So let's get all these cut up. Perfect. Now for the cabbage, I'm not entirely sure how I want to cut it. I think I just want to shred it down. So something like maybe strips like this, I think will work just fine. And I think that looks pretty good. I'll fill it up with a little bit of pulled pork. I'm going to take some of our carrots here, which I did cut in half because they were a little bit too long and they were breaking through with the first one that I tried. So a little bit shorter carrots. Take a little bit of our cabbage. Maybe get a little more pulled pork because I'm feeling saucy. Then I'm just going to take some BBQ sauce here and just put it over top. And I'm going to take the sides, fold them in. Take the bottom, come up, and then just try to roll it nice and tight. Boom. Looks pretty darn good to me. All right, so obviously I'm not the best at rolling these suckers, but I think they're gonna be delicious regardless. I'll show you what we're looking at here with the side. I cut one in half, and of course that means it doesn't want to stay together. We got a nice amount of pulled pork in there. That piece just fell down. My dog is enjoying. Got their carrots and our cabbage. And I think what I want to do, I'm going to take a bite, and then I think how we're actually going to eat these is probably just dipping them in barbecue sauce. But I'm starving, so let's give it a go. You know, I'm not sure why these spring roll wrappers aren't used more in barbecue. They have basically no flavor, so it's like the perfect delivery device. We have all of our delicious pulled pork, barbecue sauce, and our coleslaw mix without needing to have anything else. You could have, you know, your slider bun, but if you really just want to go crazy and just eat that pulled pork with your coleslaw, this is an interesting way to do it. You know, as we were rolling this up, which obviously we're not too good at, but whatever. We were kind of thinking, you know what, we could actually deep fry these. And I think that might be something we're going to do in the future. But these are really, really good, and we're going to enjoy eating these tonight. Guys, give it a try if you're looking to do something a little bit different. This is an interesting way to spice up your backyard barbecue routine. If you guys decide to make these, let me know what your thoughts are down below. And as always, let me know what you guys are cooking, and cook something fantastic. Take it easy, guys.